Hello my stitching friends, it's great to be back with another stitchy video. Today I've got a new start to show you, which I'm really excited about, and I was kind of keeping this one under wraps for a little while and I wasn't telling anybody what it is, but now it's all out in the open. Everybody knows what I'm doing. It is called The Snow Queen, and this chart is by Mirabilia. They tend to come in these sort of fancily decorated cardboard sleeves, and the one that I am doing is pictured here, and isn't she just beautiful? I'll bring her a little bit closer, but it may take a second for the camera to adjust. There we go. This is the Snow Queen, and she comes with just the chart. That's all you get when you buy this beautiful piece, and a lot of people choose their own fabrics for this. The one that is recommended on this chart is, I think, a 32 count linen or a 16 count Ida, and I didn't go for the linen because I've been having a little trouble with using smaller counts, so I decided I wanted to go for the 16 count, which is a really good size for the beads, and she's got some gorgeous beads which I'm going to show you as well. So basically this video I'm going to reveal everything that I have for this kit, which I ordered in separate little pieces, and there are still a few things which I have yet to get. Now let's see, I'm just going to have a look. So when you buy this chart you get something like this at the back, and it gives you a list of all the things you need, like the flosses and any special kind of flosses that you need, also any beads that you need down here, and what's called treasures. This one only has 2 little treasures. Well, actually no, there's 5 of one number, so there'll be a little number next to your main number, and that's how many packets you need. So for this one, for instance, I needed 10046. There's a little 3 in the corner of that, which means I need 3 little packets of that particular bead. So once you get your head around all these little knickknacks, it's quite simple, really. The DMC is never usually a problem to get. The water lilies, I have had a problem. I have not been able to locate one skein of a colour. What's called Rainbow Gallery Whisper is another kind of thread. I'm going to show you that in a moment. But first I'm going to show you the lovely little box which cost me literally nothing, which I picked up in a pound store. So I got this box when I was doing my Christmas shopping, and it cost me £1. This is probably the best bargain I've had this year or last year. And so what's £1? Something like just $1.3. It's just over $1 in cost, and it's perfect because not only can I house all the beads that I need for this chart, but I can flip it over and open the other side, and then I've got more stuff in here. So just to give you a quick idea of what this looks like, in this chart you need something called Karen water lilies, and these are what you get. Isn't that beautiful? I love these colours, and they are, I think, silk, and they're really, really, really pretty. Really, like, oh look, that one's matching my nail polish. That was not contrived, I promise you. That is purely coincidental. And so you need 2 of one colour and 2 of another colour for this chart, and I managed to get 2 of one colour and 1 of the other colour, so I need to locate. Actually, if I've got 2 of that, where is the other one? Good question. I'll have to go for a search because I definitely had 2 of one colour. Good thinking. I'll have to go and search for that one. Do hate it when things go missing. And this is the whisper thread that you need. It kind of looks like Santa's beard. I don't know how on earth you can stitch with that, but I'm told very short threads, and I've watched a few videos of people using it and they look pretty competent, but I can't say that I would be, but I will give it a go. And I found a little space for it there. So that's where my specialty threads, oh, it's not going to shut now. That's where my specialty threads are going to go. And on this side, I've put, your beads normally come in little things like this, and this is one of the treasure beads, and it's rather like a little crystal, and you need 5 of these little things. I'm telling you, this comes to quite a bit of money. I'm not being funny, but I had to raid my bank account to buy all this stuff. So if you're not really serious a stitcher, then maybe you want to go for cheaper stuff. So this is the colours, and I've labelled each little one. So that's exactly all the beads that I need for this. So I just find it amazing that I bought this box thinking it would be useful for something. And lo and behold, it's housed my entire kit for this thing. And there's a lovely little sparkly thread there as well. So I'm really pleased. It's called Hobby Storage Box. If anybody wants to track that down, I have no idea where you might find it. I got it in, I think it was Poundland in the UK. So if you have a Poundland store, you might find it in there, or you might find it online, but it's really useful for a little storage. And I've got my flossies, my lovely flossies for these kits are all here. Every colour that I need, and some, because there are extra colours that we need for these things. These are gorgeous. So all the colours that I need for this are in one bag. And I've decided I'm not going to put them on skeins, but I'm going to leave them. I think I have located my missing skein. Yes, I was just saying that I had another floss, and here it is. That's the other one. Whoops, I have it in an envelope. So that's the other silk that I was just looking for there. So I'm keeping these all in envelopes because I just find it so much easier at the moment, because there's not that many flosses. So to have them in an envelope makes it really easy for me to just dig in and pick out a colour that I need. And I'm keeping that at the moment in a tin which I got for Christmas, and I am putting in my little charts and things for my kit. Now I've lost the lid. How typical. I can hardly do anything without losing something. So that's my stash for this chart, and I like to pin that here actually, so it reminds me of what the beautiful chart is actually going to look like when I finish stitching it. And the colours I'm using at the moment, I can't show you the actual chart itself, but I can show you that I have done a photocopy version of it. On the other side of this is the actual chart itself, and I've done a photocopy of the original because I don't like to mark the original, because the original I might want to stitch it again. So I started directly in the middle of this chart, as you can see, and I'm using the 16 count Ida fabric. I didn't want to use a colour that wasn't going to nicely contrast this, because I think that for a reason they have put this lovely chart, this lovely design onto a darker background, and the reason is because there's lots of light colours, as you can see. So you want something darker in the back to bring those light colours forward. So it is a nice contrast, especially with this, what looks like snow. I don't think I have actually got a bigger photograph of this, but what looks like snow here, you wouldn't be able to see if you use a white colour. Mightn't be sufficient, I don't know. But I think a darker colour works well to contrast the lighter colours here. So I chose, it does actually look very similar to the one here. The one I've chosen looks similar to the fabric in the picture, but it's not. This is called, the one that they recommend is called, I think, Misty Blue. I wonder if it says it here on this paper. Oh yes, it says alternate fabric 16 count Twilight Blue Ida. And mine is 16 count Misty Blue. So it mightn't be too different. Alternatively, you can use 32 count blue linen or any color linen. Actually, you can use whatever you like, as long as you figure out how your design area is going to fit in it. Because if you choose a fabric that's not big enough, or too small or too big, you're going to run into trouble. So you're going to have to make sure that you know what your stitched area size will be when on whichever count that you buy as a fabric. So that's something you have to work out. And I've worked out that at 16 count, well, it's here anyway, it's 18 inches by approximately 18 by 15 in height. So it's longer rather than taller, and I think it will work, because I've got a humongous piece of fabric here that I'm using at the moment, a 17 by 17 inch Q-snap, which works lovely because I actually can just balance it. I've got my Lowry stand behind this, and I can actually just balance this on my knee and stitch on this size. And I've got my fabric rolled up on either side. And the reason why I'm not using this on the Lowry is because if I use this on the Lowry, I have to kind of keep moving it around to stitch behind. And I did have it initially on a hoop. I had it on a Nerge hoop. You can still see the hoop marks here on my fabric. And I wasn't liking it. I wasn't liking that it wasn't taut enough. I like it to be quite taut. And I've started doing a few little beads, because I thought, when I was doing a lavender and lace design, I decided that I was going to bead at the end. And it was, I tell you, I got so tired of beading, I wanted to throw the whole thing out the window. So this time round, I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to put myself through that again. I'm going to do a little beading as I go. So if I bring it a little bit closer, oops, I'm just going to put this to one side. If I bring it a little bit closer and the camera focuses, you will see that there's actually different colours of beads in there. There's dark blue and lighter blue, and then there's going to be some white beads. So this, let's see if I can bring down this picture, is approximately that little bit of blue there. As you can see what I'm pointing at, that little bit of blue in her dress is this section here. So that's pretty much the centre of the pattern. And I think the beads are going to look lovely. They are small. I mean, look at the size of my finger next to that bead. They are tiny. However, they are very pretty. And I like to do them as I go along. And I'm very, very ultra super careful with beads now, because I have had so many beads fly up into the air, land on my head, roll along the floor, end up in my dinner. I mean, it's just crazy the way these beads can just go everywhere. So I've been really organized this time and purposely taken them out of those little packets that they come in and stuck them into these tiny little pill boxes, I think is the right word to use them. And you can buy these. I mean, a lot of people use them for diamond painting, and I have got diamond paintings that I use these for, but some of them I also use for my beading as well. And when I finish with the Snow Queen, I'll take them out and put them in a different box that I have, and relabel this box and put in my new beads for my next Mirabilia, whatever it is I want to do. So the plan is to do it as I go, those beads, and so you kind of have one big headache that's kind of minimized into tiny little headaches as you go along. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? Something like that. And I just think that's just the way I would go about it. Of course, you can do it whatever way you want to do it. If you want to start in a different area, a different place, you can do so. I always think it's safer to start in the middle with charts like this. It's just the way I go. Although the pattern I have is divided into two parts, and the cutoff line is right down the middle here. So this actual piece of her dress is the right side page, and this line bit here is the left side page. So if you can imagine, I've got two sheets of paper, left and right. So I've started in the middle. I've done a little bit of the left page up here so that I know where they join together, and a little bit of this right page here. So I've got the two sides wrapped up. So if I want to flip over now and continue working on the left page, I've got some of the right page there as well. So I can kind of see if I've made a mistake and I haven't joined them together right. So I can literally go into either page now if I want to. I've got both of them photocopied, and so it's going kind of well. I did have trouble counting initially. I don't know why, but sometimes it's really difficult to count because the chart has got the beads in the middle. The chart does have a few beads dotted around. Obviously, there's going to be a symbol for these beads on the actual chart. So it can get a bit confusing and you think you're onto the DMC, but you're not. You've actually got to do the chart beads instead of the DMCs. So that can be a bit confusing. And also just generally counting when you're not doing row by row, which is what I'm kind of used to doing with my heids. So I'm just working row by row, and I find that really easy counting wise. So when it comes to something like this, you have to pay a lot more attention because obviously, you know, you're going in different directions. And like here, for instance, there is, bring it back close again, there is a gap here which will have some silk in and some beads. So I've left those gaps, and I'm only going to place beads obviously in areas where I've done all the flosses around it, because I'm not going to do a bead say up here and then stitch around the bead, because that really doesn't, I don't think that would work very well. So I've decided to do, once I've done a whole area, then I will place a few beads, and that seems to make sense to me, and I think I kind of like that idea. And even though this Q-sap size I thought would actually be too big, it's actually turned out to be fantastic because I can still reach behind. I can still get my arm behind to pull out my flosses, and I can still work in that two-handed fashion. So I don't even need, I can just balance it onto the Lowry. Really has worked out well, that, because I thought I might have to get, if I wasn't going to stitch in hand, which is the other alternative, I did stitch the last Mirabilia in hand. Sorry, the last lavender and lace design I did in hand. But I kind of like that I can see the whole picture. I kind of like that when I'm working, I don't have to keep taking sorry, words today are just not happening, are they? That I had to take off the hoop frequently to continue stitching. So I decided now I was just going to try it on the big Q-snap, and I'm actually enjoying it because I know that I can do a whole area of this in any direction. I'm pretty much going to get quite a lot of her done on here without having to move the Q-snap at all. And I think that works really well for me, because you know, sometimes I find it difficult to get these Q-snaps off. They can be really tough to kind of pull apart or slide. Sometimes they don't want to slide. Sometimes, like, I'm going to lose a finger and a fingernail trying to pull them off. So I try not to want to take them off too frequently, if I can help it. So having a bigger Q-snap actually helps with that. But it only kind of works if you're sitting comfortably and you've got it kind of upright, so you're not straining your neck and your back, and it works better like that. And if you balance it on something, you might have to lean forward a teeny bit. Like, I can bring my Lowry stand really, really close to my face. Like, my face is literally where the camera is, and bring my Lowry, which is just here, bring my Lowry forward, and there we have it, balanced. And I can still kind of stitch behind, put my hand behind and stitch. So for a change, something's actually worked out for me with regards to finding a decent position and being able to stitch happily. The only thing is the Lowry does sort of move around a bit, so you might want to stick a book or two on the base just to keep it sturdy, and so that it doesn't slide away, or if you push it away with your foot or something. So I think that's everything to do with my chart. I don't think I've forgotten any vital information. I did decide to do this one last year. Well, I didn't decide to start it last year. I decided last year to start it this year. After watching Debbie at Creatively Yours, she had started the chart, and it looked absolutely beautiful when she was showing it on her floss tube. I'm not sure which floss tube it was now where she was showing this particular chart, but it does look great. And I said to Debbie, I'm going to start it as well. And she actually was really helpful to helping me to decide on the fabric and everything. And sorry, Debbie, the fabric that I had ordered previously, I just couldn't get to grips with. It just didn't work for me. I was going cross-eyed trying to see the holes. Although it looked beautiful, it just didn't work for me. And I have put it away at the moment, so I don't actually have it to show you. But it was a 28 count, I forget, some kind of even weave, 28 count even weave. And it was that kind of mottled dark blue. But I just could not see the holes. I could feel the holes, but I couldn't see them. And it was just, I was finding it really difficult the way the light was bouncing off the holes. And because of the fact that it had an uneven colour, I struggled 3 or 4 times and I just wasn't enjoying it. So I said to my husband, look, if I'm not enjoying it, I won't pick it up as frequently and it'll end up in my to-do pile and I won't enjoy it. So I'm going to go ahead and order the 16 count. I would have preferred a slightly higher count now in Ida, I have to admit, but I wanted to make sure that the beads were going to cover the holes correctly. So if I bring this back in again, and if the camera can focus, you can see that the bead is just about the same size as a 16 count hole. Exactly. And I think that's the reason why she tells you to use a 16 count. Can I bring it in any closer? Let's see if that works. So it just is the same size as a 16 count. So if you maybe use a 14 count, it might be okay. I don't know, but it could be that it doesn't cover the hole completely. And if you use a count that's too high, you may find that your bead covers 2 holes instead of 1 if you're working over 1. So I did pay attention to that fact and decided, well, I want my beads to sit really well. I also want them to sit in the same direction, so they're all going to be sitting facing that way, facing the right. So I'm quite fussy about these little details, I think. It must be my old age. I'm just getting fussier as I get old. But these beads are all going to go in the same direction. And so my cross is going to go in the same direction. And even though I don't particularly like the look of Ida close up, I think when she's up on the wall and she is finished and all her beads are on, we're going to be looking at a completely different picture here. This is not going to look too Ida-ish and too, it's not going to look quite the same. People are just going to, I think, appreciate the actual picture. And I just love this reindeer and all these colors on his antlers. It just is a beautiful, beautiful chart. And yeah, I'm so pleased about starting this one that I'm kind of I don't know, I just want to stitch her all the time now, and it's a real pain because I've got my new Whip Go goals, which have included a lot of my heids. Well, it's included mostly my heids, and some of my goals also include non-haid projects, which will include this one, but that wasn't what was rolled this month, so I really shouldn't have started her yet. But I am keeping up with my goals, so that's a good thing. So what I'm doing is I'm doing my goal whips in the afternoon or late afternoon, and then I'm bringing her out early evening. And I think then I can get, an hour or so of her a day as well. So I've done really well actually to get so much of this done already, because it is quite a bit of counting and making sure that you haven't miscounted, because if I'm actually going to be beading as I go, the last thing I want to do is to be frogging beads. I really don't want to do that. That will just put me off. I might just end up not doing it again if I have to frog beads. So I'm sort of double checking and triple checking and quadruple checking. I think once I trust myself a bit more, I might not be so super duper careful, but I still think it's a good idea to double check that you'll, haven't made a mistake. Because if you go off by 1 stitch here, trust me, it's going to make a mess for the rest of it. You're just going to get so lost. It's just not going to be a pleasant thing. which is why I check and I get my husband to check and I say, check again, and he probably thinks I'm mad. But hey, he's probably right. And that's how it goes. So, yeah, so she's on my whip go, and I'm really pleased to be doing her. And yeah, so this is a beautiful, what's called misty blue. And some of you might see it as green. I see it as blue and I see it as green. Sometimes I've been staring at this colour and thinking, that's green. And then later on, I'm saying, no, actually it's blue. And my husband says, it's both, really. It's one of those colours that depends where you're sitting and which light is hitting it. And whichever way you are interpreting that colour, it can be blue, it can be green. So I think it's more of greeny blue, probably. So that's my lovely kit. And yes, it's not going to be a hugely long video today. Just wanted to introduce this so you could see what I am up to. And I'm looking forward to having another go with her later. And hopefully I might even be able to do a few stitch with me's if I can actually set up my equipment and everything properly, where I can actually record myself stitching, because that would be really nice. And I'm excited to work on her. Yeah, so that's it. And I look forward to hearing what you think. Let me know in the comments if you've done this chart or if you're doing another Mirabilia chart. There are so many beautiful ones out there. And let me know what you think and what sort of fabric you've chosen for a design like this. There's so many beautiful fabrics out there that people have chosen. It's just a minefield, honestly, the amount of wonderful things you can buy for these particular charts. So I look forward to hearing you, and thank you for stopping by and watching my channel, and I will see you again soon.